And the nays have it. Hey, we've all known people burned out in their job. Maybe you are. Shit. But how about at the highest levels? Like at the highest levels of our federal government. They may not be burned out because of all the power they wield, but the ones at the top are fucking old. This is the Boomer Island Podcast. Welcome ashore, friends. Hey, thank you everybody for joining me today on Boomer Island. I do appreciate you, I truly do, and I hope this finds you healthy and happy. Hey, I try hard not to engage in politics, I really do, but as I sit here on May 11th, 2024, it's become impossible to avoid. It's just surrounding me somehow. I can't talk to hardly anyone anywhere where something comes up that's kind of gets in your craw. So I'm going to dip my toe into these polarizing waters. Now, we obviously have major problems to overcome in this world, and in particular in our own country. But I believe that is and always has been part of the human condition. We will always have problems, and we will always have to solve them. Capiche? You with me? I'm not smart enough to pretend I have any answers, but I do have a few observations, and I want to focus a little later on one in particular. First off, I want to mention I've had conversations with friends of mine. You know, they're older, like they're in their 50s, 60s, and maybe even older, and there seems to be a general consensus that our generation has lived during the apex of the so-called American experiment. So we were the lucky ones. In other words, there's not a lot of faith in the future of America. Of course, that is yet to be determined. What's your take on that? Do you feel lucky that you were born when you were born? Are you feeling lucky? And older generations have always doubted the younger generations to handle the adult shit that comes up, you know, especially after they pass the torch. So this isn't unique. But now that I am in that older generation, it does seem a little trickier this time around. And who knows the reasons why? Maybe it's the way the computer technology is evolving at such incredible speeds. It's so unpredictable that people are scared. I'm scared. And other people are definitely fear-mongering. You know, that might be part of it. I, for one, have a tremendous faith, not only in our young people, say, what? But also in the system. What? The system in which we live, yeah. Faith in young people, the system? You think that's crazy talk? Well, just think about it. Think about the U.S. Constitution. It's freaking amazing. Just read a little bit of it. But I think it was Joe Rogan. And if you don't know who Joe Rogan is, I would highly suggest watching one of his podcasts. But anyway, he said in one of his stand-up performances, I think it was him, maybe it's time we made some changes to the Constitution because, after all, the Founding Fathers wrote it with a feather dipped in ink. And that brings me to the main point of my subject today, which is, how did we get to the place where the most influential politicians in the nation have an average age of dead? It's like $1 trillion old folks home. All right, here's some frightening stats for you. Our United States Congress, made up of 535 people, has 48% of its population of people 60 and over. Even though our country is getting much older, the United States has a 17% population of people over 60. 48% compared to 17%. That's not adding up, Lucy. It breaks down to 193 out of the 435 in the House of Representatives, and 62 out of the 100 senators are in this category. Also, 62 in the House are from ages 70 to 79, and 12 more are over 80. 30 senators are between the ages of 70 and 79, and 4 more are over 80 years old. We have one senator that's 90, and another one just died while in office at 90. Good Lord, come on. I don't give a shit if you're the smartest person in every room you walk into. If you're 90, you're out of touch with what you need to be in touch with. It gets even more problematic as we go higher up the power structure. The leaders of the Senate, our majority leader, Democrat Chuck Schumer, he's coming in at a spry 73 years old. And then you got the minority leader, Mitch McConnell, Republican, who is 82. And he has a habit of freezing at news conferences that resemble a stroke. And remember Nancy Pelosi? Well, she's still around, that Botox-filled 84-year-old lady. She was Speaker of the House as recently as 2023, and she's still a Congress lady. Good Lord, people, come on, man. Then, of course, the highest post in the land, the U.S. presidency. Hey, being older is nothing new to the presidency, but this is getting ridiculous. The median age for U.S. presidents at inauguration is 55. If the two old farts put up by the establishment parties make it to the next inauguration, the winner will be either 78, Trump, or 82, Biden. Biden already holds the record as oldest president, but if Trump wins, he'll break that record if he makes it to the end of his term. The only thing these two seem to do well is setting records for being the oldest person to have anything to do with running for or being president. Oh yeah, and they make the country the most divisive it's been in our lifetimes. They're both pretty good at stirring up that pot. They're really good at character assassination and talking points. I never hear constructive ideas about any solutions, just slogans. How did we ever get to this point? Did all the scientists at Jurassic Park get together and cross-pollinate our politicians with the freaking dinosaurs? And you always hear people say, who would want that job? Nobody wants that job. I think there's a ton of people that want that job. The hard part is finding one that can stand the gauntlet and be an effective leader. Why do you think we can't find one? What the hey? Why are the choices the two parties put out there so frickin' lame? This is the worst run of presidential politics I've ever seen in my lifetime. We have to take the blame. We have to own it. Somehow we've gotten to the point that we think the president can wave some magic wand and make our life better. Really? Obviously that ain't working. If you think the president or Congress are going to solve your problems, that's kind of like asking Elon Musk to fix your car or Microsoft to pay your rent. It just ain't going to happen. Let's remember the glorious old words of John Kennedy. JFK, ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. Maybe if we all channel that thought, start spreading the word that, we need to take responsibility for ourselves and our own actions. That'll help. You like that idea? Hey, I'm a boomer. I think maybe these old people might throw us elders a bone, wouldn't you think? But they don't know what's going on, man. That ain't happening. All they can do is scare the shit out of us by saying that Social Security is going to run out in 9 years and Medicare is underfunded. So what good are they to anybody? Actually, I don't mind if they're old, so long as they're just not walking frickin' corpses. And that brings me to my main observation here. Longevity in politics. They got that never-ending road they go down. I think the old forefathers missed the boat when they didn't put a limit on the number of terms a U.S. senator or a member of Congress can serve. Of course, they probably never dreamed the voting public would keep electing such ineffective public servants. These political posts turn into lifetime positions because it takes a constitutional amendment to create term limits. Listen how difficult this is. It requires a proposal by 2/3 of both the House of Representatives and the Senate, 2/3, or by a constitutional convention called for by 2/3 of the state legislatures. The amendment must then be ratified by 3/4, 75% of the state legislatures, or by conventions in 3/4 of the states. And that sounds complicated and kind of impossible. So why would they vote to limit their jobs? There's no motivation, especially a job that is so lucrative and, this is in air quotes, prestigious. Okay, ready for some more frightening stats? This has to do with the longevity and our absurd habit of re-electing these incumbents. There are currently 21 U.S. senators. That's 42%, folks, that have served between 20 and 50 years in the Senate. The House of Representatives has a much better percentage. They're coming in at 15%, which is 66 still out of the 435 members. They have served between 20 and topping out at 45 years. So ask yourself, if you hired someone to do a job and they took 20, 30, 40, or even 50 years, and the job was just becoming worse, they're doing a horrible job, why would you rehire them? But I get it. I really do. There's huge money the incumbents can spend on propaganda, and they just destroy their rivals. It makes it virtually impossible for the general public to know what these people really believe in. It's a real guessing game. And we swallow the bait of social media sound bites, and we click on the headlines that compel us to read the propaganda that fits some algorithm that we don't even have any control over. So we commit the most basic definition of insanity. We repeat the same actions, expecting a different outcome. So, we've got a conundrum, ladies and gentlemen. Like that word, conundrum. It seems we only have one option, and that is to vote the old farts out. Please email me at onboomerisland@gmail.com if you have any other options. I just don't know of any. But here's my suggestion. It's a long shot, but I'm saying we still got a shot. Okay. If anyone running for office is over 75 years old and has more than 25 years in office, please don't vote for them. They're part of the problem. I mean, that's a low bar, right? If you're 78 and been in there 39 years, get the hell out. I mean, what can it hurt? Can we all agree that whatever's been going on in Washington, D.C. just hasn't been working out too well? Please try not to judge me here. I'm just trying to point out my observations and give a simple suggestion. That's it. But how about we start with the old adage, out with the old, in with the new. I think it's time to pass the torch. As scary as that might seem to some of us, we have to kick the kids out of the nest and let them fly on their own. Have faith, and let's face it, they are the future of our country. One last suggestion, we can actually start the ball rolling if we start to focus on local politics. Think local. That's where it really affects you. Like I said, Elon Musk isn't going to fix your tire. President Biden isn't going to pay your rent. Come on now. We have the privilege to vote locally for at least 10 local positions. And here they are. You got your mayor, you got your city council members, you got county commissioner, school board members, sheriff, district attorney, county clerk, county assessor, county treasurer, and county coroner. Remember Jack Klugman, old Quincy? That guy got voted in. He figured out all the problems. And, of course, your district representative for the House of Representatives. I got a question for you. Can you name the congressperson in your district? Do you know your district? I mean, this isn't a quiz, but hey, most of us are all wrapped up in the federal stuff. We don't even know what's going on in our own backyard, Unless a bunch of hobos pitch tents, then we get involved. Now, perhaps you have the opportunity to tell your kids, your grandkids, or anybody younger just to look closely at the younger candidates. Ask them to look beyond all the candidates' advertisements and the YouTube and the TikTok videos and all these other forms of misinformation and really educate themselves on what the issues are. Don't vote. Tell them not to vote.